Oh, ho, ho, ho. Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. It's so good. It's so good to be back. I'm so sorry. I've been away for the last few days. I'm sure a lot of people have probably just been like, what are you talking about, Mr. H? You haven't even left. Well, it feels like I have. Feels like I have. So it's good to be back. We're here. We're talking about Lucasfilm. Star Wars editor J.W. Rinsler. He has described basically working under Lucasfilm and Disney, essentially, well, basically just Disney, saying that it was all about control, fear, and paranoia. Not good things. Not things you want to have synonymous with you as a brand. I'm sure we can all agree, no matter what we think of Disney, whether we are brown-nosing them left, right, and centre or not. But hey, look, we'll take a look at this, shall we? Shall we dive right in? Shall we? I've got a new chair, guys. Finally, I bought a new chair. If you didn't know, my last chair had been broken and my back was hurting every single day. Bliss. That's why I'm so happy. That's why I've been gone. I've been disposing of chairs and buying new ones. God damn it. Right, anyway, let's dive into this. Hope you're all having a great Saturday. I am. Well, actually, I am and I'm not, but that's another thing for another day. Former Lucasfilm editor and author J.W. Rinsler, who wrote The Art of Star Wars, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, as well as the making of Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith, recently detailed what it was like under Disney compared to George Lucas. Now, this is always interesting, and like a lot of people inevitably see the title and see, you know, just the video that I'm making in general and kind of be like, Mr. H, like, why are you doing this? And like, the main reason is right, you look at the new films and you go, well, they've been crap in quality. What's going on? And a good way to kind of discern the difference between the two and get to the root cause of it is obviously from the top. You know, how does it work? How's it like working there? Can you throw ideas around without people getting all butthurt about it? Well, this is what we're kind of taking a look at. It just goes some way to explain the reason why everything is a shambles. So Rinsler, who also wrote and published The Making of Star Wars, the definitive story behind the original film, chatted with the Force Cast podcast about his initial rejections from the various Lucas-owned companies, as well as the interview that eventually landed him the position of editor for Lucas Licensing Book Division. So, this article is linked down below, so check it out. Now, much of the beginning of the interview focuses on what led to the creation of the making of the Star Wars books. This is like well known. I've got a whole bunch of them down there. Not the making of Star Wars, but like the making of, the art and making of like the MonsterVerse films. Rinsler details that Lucas was a pioneer and early adopter for quite a new, basically new technology, including digital filming. Not only was he a pioneer and early adopter, but Lucas had kept extensive records for an anthropological sake, dating way back to American Graffiti. When he arrived after he was hired, he pitched the making of Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith. Now, he then detailed his pitch for making of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith that led to the multitude of other books. So basically he said, look, the time I got there, I was in the book department, and the book department, in a way, was lagging behind all that. And which is crazy to think of now, because the books are huge, right? The books are massive. Now, through nobody's fault, they were farming it out instead of doing it in-house, which is, I mean, that's like Disney through and through, isn't it? But obviously there's Lucasfilm who sort of pioneered that approach. Now, when I came along, I think for the first time, I think most people in the department were more interested in Star Wars as a story, not how they were doing it. I was like the first one, I think. I don't know for sure. At any rate, probably the first person to come in who wanted to know how they did the movies and had an interest in that. So Rinsler stated, so when I met with Rick McCallum, I pitched him the idea of doing a behind-the-scenes book for Episode 3. That didn't just talk about the visual effects, but talked about everything from concept art to editing to spotting the music to the scoring to the release of the film. And Rick, bless his heart, said, just in the office at that moment, said, yes, let's do it. Now, all of this seems fairly normal, fairly good, pretty decent stuff. He's talking about, after detailing his initial experience with Lucas book department, Rinsler was asked what made Lucas storytelling different from other studios. Now, this is important. He says, well, I mean, what was great about Lucasfilm and working at the ranch and the big ranch and so on, there was a lot of autonomy. Now, what's Disney known for? Not autonomy, that's for sure. We were only 30 people in the licensing department. It fluctuated a little bit, but we were 3 or 4 people in publishing. And those 30 people, more or less, oversaw international and domestic the entire Star Wars franchise, from toys to skateboards to t-shirts to bathroom products to all the books and comic books. Of course, publishing was only a small percentage of it, but very autonomous, really, really different stuff. Now, Rinsler added, the big ticket stuff were the action figures, and then they started high-end replicas. I'm not sure when that started, but certainly it really got going when I was there. There was a lot of autonomy, and the idea was, particularly after episode 1, because episode 1, everybody had gotten greedy. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but some people were actually taken aback. I'm going to make $1 billion off every product I do. I mean, that's crazy. Star Wars is big, but not that big, so they scaled things back for episode 2, and then they maybe didn't do quite enough. And then episode 3, we got it right. By the time we got to 2005 and 2006, it was such a well-oiled machine, but not a machine in the negative sense. It was highly personalized. So, like, pretty good stuff. Normal sort of, movie-making business, elements like that. Pretty normal, but pretty good. It sounds like collaborative, sounds autonomous, sounds pretty decent, right? And then it goes on a bit further, discusses George and things like that, and all this kind of stuff. Like, again, all fairly decent things. And again, these books are great. Again, I've got Aliens, the blueprints. I highly recommend them. I think they are fantastic. They are awesome. Rinsler then details that their customers that included Hasbro, Random House, Dark Horse, and Lego, among others, could just pick up the phone and call them without having to deal with a mid-level bureaucracy, which I bet you that is what they're under now. But then we go further, right? So, as reported by Star Wars is Dumb, he contrasted his experience with Disney taking over Lucasfilm. Rinsler explained, when Disney came on, and I will say this, I don't think it violates any NDA. That's surprising that he even has to say that, but, this is the world we live in. I've been there for 15 years. I worked with George Lucas for all those 15 years, and I couldn't see a script for the longest time for The Force Awakens. It's not good. And so it was just the polar opposite of ways of working. It was all about control and fear and paranoia. Not that Lucasfilm, we had some of that, It wasn't like it was heaven on earth, but it was far and away like day compared to night. It was just so much easier. And we didn't torture the licensees. That word there is shocking. Torture. Like, what is Disney doing to these people? Torture. Oof. 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 Terrible stuff. Really, really bad. But he then continued to compare and contrast Disney and Lucas's style of management. Some of them could come in and read the script, not everybody, but the head person, whoever needed to read it for that company, could read it so that they knew what was going on. And so there was just a lot of cooperation, a lot of sharing of information, and a lot of autonomy. And if I decided a book was done and good, it was done. It was published. So isn't that interesting? Isn't that surprising? Well, it's not surprising. Let's be honest, right? It's not surprising, is it? But it is interesting. Now, obviously, there's a few things to note here. People can't just go in and read things willy-nilly nowadays. We have the internet. There's a lot more. There's a lot more people communicating out the spoilers and the leaks and the reveals and things like that. And obviously, they have to keep that in check. Like, I get that. I know. I get it. But to say that, torture the licensees. We didn't torture the licensees. Now, that's a direct comparison to what Disney is doing. Very clearly, they don't have many licensees because they do a lot of it in-house. But inevitably, that speaks volumes as to what they are doing with Disney, or Disney is doing with their licensees. And also, just to say that it is basically night and day. It's night and day compared. And again, I'm not saying that that's the absolute reason why the films suck. There's many, many reasons why the new films suck. Of course there is. But this is just one of, many nuances behind the reason of why they all suck. But I thought you would find this interesting. I personally do. And I like J.W. Rinsler. He does really good work. Like, these Blueprints books are amazing. Like, they're really, really, really special books. The Aliens ones that I've got is fantastic. I'd highly recommend them. He does really good work. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Do you think this is one of the reasons why the new films suck or not? I'd love to hear it, so drop it down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Stay up to date on the world of pop culture and movie news by hitting the bell notification icon. Thanks so much. Take care.